Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, as always, we're about to turn the calendar over from May to June, but before we do, we must complete our Q&A as we always do, one of our favorite episodes here. So, you know the deal, Riddler goes up and you drop your questions down below and I take them as the order they came in. We've got everything. We've got a lot of travel heavy stuff this weekend. We've got, award bookings, international stuff. How do you keep track of all the credit cards? Will I open any more credit cards? All that and more. So chapters tool down below if you want to jump around, because we tend to go very long here, but it's important that we get everyone a thorough answer. So, of course, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's jump into it. So, we are batting lead off here with Ganesh. He says, hey, RJ, love the channel. Well, I appreciate that very much. Because of recent relaxing of 524, he got the CSP, got approved being over 524. Way to go. So, he's getting addicted to the bonuses here. He's starting to prefer the 5% cashback setup. Shout out. I'm a true believer we have in the making. Hopefully he's not going to go down a slippery slope. Probably will, but that's okay. With one too many cards to manage. So I think the question is, how do you manage all of these cards, right? So I will say, anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right? To use that old cliche. But for me, really, if I think about it, I don't carry nearly that many credit cards. I have a lot of cards that are set it and forget it. The U.S. Bank Cash Plus card looks pristine because that's set up with my gym, and then you can use it for utilities or whatnot, but I don't really need to carry that card with me. Custom Cash is generally my gas card unless one of the categories, cards come into it. Right now, Chase is plugged into Amazon. So, I'm really only carrying like a double cash for a catch-all. My Custom Cash, I think the Sapphire Preferred, as I work on that same bonus that you're working on. So really the easy thing here is in two parts. I would say you can usually change your cards out quarterly. Because quarterly category cards, right? So usually when those What's in Your Wallet videos come out, I would simply take a look at your setup and see what you need to move where. The more category cards you have, the more optionality you're going to have. That usually does it. Only carry the cards that you need. If you have set it and forgetting cards, then literally set it and forget it. You could actually look at putting a label maker on them as well. I know people who've done that for their significant other, their player too, because it makes it easy and they'll just change the label, something like that. As far as payments, an easy thing you could do is you could actually, if you write into the issuers, you can actually choose your payment date or your statement close date. So you could actually line them all up to be on the same date or right around and just kind of make a calendar reminder. Then that's when you pay your bills. Definitely set up auto pay, at least for the minimum amount. For me, I move around a lot of money, so I don't always want to set it up for the maximum amount because I don't always know if I have enough money in that account per se. But that could be a good way to line it up as well. So I really just think you get used to it, honestly. And when you think about the cards you have to use and carry versus the ones that are set and forget it, I don't think it ends up being that bad. But honestly, if you're also going bonus hunting, then you're going to be using one card quite a bit as well, which does make things easier. So I think you will manage, sir. I've taught you well, and I believe in you. Next up here, Wilson Music. How much time do you set aside to hunt down award availability for a flight? And do you use any tools like Point Me or Seats, Arrow, etc. to search for your award availability? Not that much. Not that much at all. So I'm not opposed to Point Me and things like that. I've messed around with their interface a little bit when we had them on a news story before. And I like them. It's fine. For me, really, I'm looking to not pay cash, and I'm looking for the flight that best fits my schedule within reason. So I know that I'm flying Delta, so I'm usually messing around on Delta's site. I might mess around on the Chase portal if I had Chase points, but I have a lot of Sky Miles. Well, not a lot, but like 100, some odd thousand. So I'm probably messing around with Delta. I know using Delta, they call them Sky Pesos, as I've learned, but I just don't want to pay cash. So for me, I'm really, I'll take the day I need to be there and kind of mess around with the times, right? If it's, if you have the day off and you can travel whenever. I'll usually look for do the price for really early versus really late, see if I can save a few bucks or a few points that way. But I really am not trying to find, squeeze out maximum value when that I'm really looking for convenience. And weirdly enough, if you know me, then the one thing I usually try to optimize around my travel itineraries, will I have enough time to go work out before I have to get on the plane? I really don't like missing the morning gym session. I'll go earlier if I have to, but I really don't like to miss it. So I'm leaving and going, will I have enough time to work out? But I will take the early flights to save money, but That's one reason why I'm really not super hardcore travel cards, because I don't do all the award availability and looking. There's nothing against it. You're probably doing it the right way. I just don't. I'm really more focused on, can I not pay cash, and does this flight fit into my schedule? And when I need to be there to the place, are you going to get there too early? And, do you have something to do? Can you check in the hotel? Can you not? That whole thing. So probably not the best answer, but that's legitimately how I do it. Caesar here, again, just a massive troll. His best personal bank account, we already know you prefer Amex on the business side, and I agree. The only reason I picked Amex is because of their own selfishness worked in their favor, because you can only get their bonus once in a lifetime. And, if I just signed up for my next Chase business account to churn that's $750. If I would have picked Chase business, I would lose $750 every other year. Where Amex, I didn't lose any money. Their account is nothing special, but I do like it. I mean, it's fine. It serves a purpose. So American Express is my legitimate LLC business account. Best personal bank account, honestly, I still vote Ally. I've never had any issues. Their website sometimes is slow and crashes, which is odd, but aside from that, I've never really had any issues. I just have their savings account. I've been thinking about getting a checking account for when those times where I just keep going over that 6 transaction limit on savings accounts. But that's been suspended since the pandemic days. So when they reinstate that, I might have to get a checking account with them. I've had no problems with Ally. Honestly, they have decent enough interest rates. Normally, my money's never sitting in one place long enough for the interest rate to matter too much. But Chase deposit accounts are trash. They're hypersensitive. They will close you or lock you out of your account. Even if you try to deposit or transfer any money, sometimes it's very annoying. Citi's okay, but they charge fees. I kind of like their app. I don't really like the U.S. Bank layout. All the other banks I tend to churn, but the one I keep coming back to is Ally. That's the one I've kept for my personal one. A lot of the other accounts, once you get past Chase, Amex, and Citi, I would say their apps or interfaces are so at best. But generally just look for features you need. If you do write a lot of checks, places kind of comp checks to you sometimes. Do you need a branch? Things like that. But for me, it's Ally because their ease of use. They don't get mad at how much money I transfer, and they don't care at all, which is nice. Ken Ketchum, don't know if this question has been asked yet, but how much cash back do you average every quarter, every year? I don't know quarterly, but I do know yearly. So I keep track of it, and we do those how much I made a year videos. So I think last year I was close to $5,000 in cash back. This year I'm on a tear because the bank bonus game has been slow, and unfortunately I've had to spend a lot of money in the first quarter of the year on home repairs and car repairs and stuff. So I'm close to $5,000 again, but I've been hardcore bonus hunting. I've gone through the Ink Unlimited again, the Ink Premier, Ink Preferred. I got the Sapphire Preferred. I've done a few other business cards as well. So I aim for $5,000 a year. I'd really like to get to 10. I just don't spend that much money, which is not really a complaint. I've done some things taking homes out of escrow accounts so I can pay the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance, which should help. But I'd like to get to $10,000 a year because then I can do a triple double between referral bonuses, bank bonuses, and credit card cash back. That would be pretty cool because you're talking $30,000 from banks, which would be nice. I just don't spend enough. So right now, $5,000 is a reasonable target. I'll probably end up somewhere closer to $7,000 if I pick up a few more bonuses. We've had some interesting ones, but generally I don't keep track on a quarterly basis though. And even this year, I've just really been hitting sign-up bonuses. So there is that. History. Why is there no love for the Citi Rewards Plus? It makes the Citi Superfecta the best overall setup. You're right. We don't really talk about it too much. I'll put it on screen. You talk about sign-up bonuses. It does have one right now. But, they've got a limited offer for the 5X on hotel and rental cars, which is nice. But then it's a 2X supermarkets and gas stations, which isn't that big of a deal. It is capped, but it's 2X. So, I could do that with their double cash. Their cool part is the round up to the nearest 10 points on every purchase, making them potentially the better card, than a double cash, potentially because it does have that round up feature. I mean, Citi themselves doesn't really give it a lot of love. Honestly, they don't talk about it that much. I do think it's a card that probably needs a little bit of refresh, or sometimes I think it also is about how they explain it to people. You know, the roundup feature it might not be that intuitive to folks. I don't think it's a bad card by any means, especially now that the thank you points are all pooling. You can pool them all. So if you were running a Citi setup, I could definitely see this being in there. I think the problem is that Citi Superfecta doesn't really exist the same way it does with other cards. There's really no punch or extra boost going through a Citi travel portal or Citi transfer partners. I mean, if you like their transfer partners, then it works. But then you get into the issue of like, okay, which I still need the Premier. Does it have the insurances that I need? Things like that. So I think it's part that the Citi Superfecta is kind of like, it could be there, but it's not there in part. I don't really think they talk about the card. All they talk about is the double cash. They finally got behind the Premier a little bit. And of course, the custom cash is the fan favorite. But if you were running those, I think it would be fine. And in a lot of cases, depending on the category, it could technically make more sense to use, your rewards plus and then say the double cash for other things. So I don't think it's bad. I just don't think they do a good job advertising it per se. But not a bad card by any means. JP Nolan, what was the last award trip you booked? It was either like Miami or like South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, I think. One of them was not necessarily an award. I think I was using like the Delta Companion Pass deal. I think I did that. So you have to pay with the Delta card when you do it. I don't have the Delta card anymore. Miami, that was a while ago. I think that was just points though. But again, to our earlier question, it wasn't like a fancy thing like worth like making a video about. I think I go on Delta's website and I see like when do I need to be there? What can I get? And then I just do it. I'm not opposed to going through Chase's portal either, messing around with the points redemption. But at the time, I don't think I had a Sapphire. I may have still had the Sapphire Reserve at the time, but it was one of those two. Nothing fancy. I haven't been anywhere in a while, really. I'm pro work travel, just not like personal. I don't like to spend my own money on it. So one of those two, I would say. No, actually, it could have been New York. I went to New York for like a wristwatch event a while back, maybe last year. So I think that could have been it. I did do a video on that Hyatt hotel. I think, again, I was just messing around with the portal. I knew when I needed to be there, then I just used points. And I think if I just used Sky Miles for it, honestly, because I had them, or I ended up buying Delta gift cards. But one of those two. So nothing super exciting. But yeah, I think it was New York now that I talk through it and think about it. So that's that. Overall, and I think for the hotel, I ended up I still had a Platinum card at the time, so I ended up using the the FHR credit as well, which actually worked out pretty good. It was fairly decent. So I think that was the last one. All right, inevitable. Is Hyatt Globalist worth it? And should I mattress run, especially with the built promotion in mind? So the mattress run is kind of like mileage runs just for hotels. So you just kind of do some stays. Except some hotels are a lot less strict about it. Like airlines, you do have to take the flight. Hotels, I don't know if you always have to stay. Just you could check in remotely too, I think. So I'll put it on screen. I mean, the thing about it is it's not... It's kind of like a little bit better than Explorist. Not by a whole lot. It really depends on like what you're into. But I mean, you can see they have most of the same things. Late checkout goes to 4 p.m. You guaranteed availability. You get an extra day basically. They do have club access or breakfast. I mean, that's probably the one perk that I would like. I do like when breakfast is on site and you don't have to pay for it. Free parking on free nights. So one free night on free night awards, I guess. It depends on that. Then priority room access. So, I mean, it's really if you like any of those things. Now, if you're doing the promotion for Built, where Built was like they were basically comping you Globalist for like a 2 months, and then like you could do a bunch of stays. I think it's 25 or something stays. And you get Globalist for like 2 years or something like that. I'll try to find it and put it up. I know we talked about it on the weekend show. If you have that and it lasts for that long and you could probably reasonably maintain it, then I think it could potentially be worth it. I don't know. I mean, mattress runs, I mean, it's summertime, so if you can find some decent places to go and make a day out of it versus just literally spending money. Like, I wouldn't just spend aimless money at hotels just to get Globalist unless you knew coming up you were going to be a road warrior and there was a specific thing that mattered to you on it. But the promotion is really good. So, I mean, if you were like a few nights short, then yeah, I would just go for it. I think it'll be fine. But if you're like, hey, I don't really have that many places to go, then I wouldn't bother. Globalist doesn't seem that much better than the next one down to me, though. but they made it so easy to get. I mean, like, why not if you're close? It's my opinion. But if you guys are globalist loyalists, then let us know down below if you feel differently. But at least looking at the chart, to me, looks pretty similar, but it's easy to get, so why not? Next up here, Vincent Pascal, he says, what do you think of using Amex cards that don't earn the most points, like the Platinum at 1x, on Delta cards for other purchases in order to avoid Amex pop-up jail, especially when there's a high Amex bonus you really want? I mean, I would say, like, if you know you're in pop-up jail and you're like, hey, I haven't used any of these Amex cards, I need to put a little more spend on it, it could be worth it. Me personally, this is one of the things I don't like about American Express. I mean, it's their cards and they're free to do whatever they want, protect their bonuses whatever way they want, but it annoys me because, to your point, to your example, the Platinum card is good for flights, but it's not good for anything else, and that's not my fault. You're not your fault. The Amex card is good for booking hotels, but only through the travel portal, which is annoying because then the hotels don't want to honor your status that the Platinum card gives you. So I kind of look at it, especially with the Platinum, it's kind of a flaw in the card itself, so why should I have to put more spend on your product that you didn't build out in a way that makes it advantageous to use all the time? Gold card's fairly easy, and it is their best MR card, even though I don't want one, but it is objectively their best MR card because you have to eat in groceries or restaurants. It's pretty easy. So, I mean, if you have one of those, I would probably focus on that card, the cards that you do have and you can maximize, and you're still in pop-up jail, then you kind of just got to make a decision, like, do you want to play this game or not? Do you want to just try again later? It's entirely possible they're trying to make a push and they lax pop-up jail a little bit because there are other factors like velocity plays a role in it. Spend for sure, how many bonuses you've gotten. So, there's factors that can, help get you back in other than spending. But if you have another Amex card, I mean, I think it'd be fine to focus on one where it's actually worth it versus, the Platinum. But I just don't care for that. But, it's kind of up to you. So, and what you have. So, yeah, but I think that'd be fine. All right, Kazi here. 2 questions. What is your next international travel destination? I don't have anything planned, man. I mean, I used to work and I could look across out of the office into Canada, and I haven't been to Canada in like 10 years or something like that. So nothing really planned at the moment ever international. I'd have to go outside for that, which we don't love outside here on this channel. But overall, I mean, a fun place to go. I guess you need to pick one place. Say go to Australia. It's like, why not? It's the other side of the planet, just to see something new and go there just to say you did. I guess for that I would have to load up. Then I'd probably end up getting Amex cards and get a bunch of MR points to make the redemption happen, I guess. But nothing planned. Let me know where I should go. How about that? Spin the globe. Tell me where I should go. Other question he has, what are your thoughts on the Chase Sapphire, the regular no annual fee one? I mean, I'm just not sure why they still have it, honestly, because you can downgrade your Chase Sapphire Reserve or Preferred down to a Freedom Flex or Unlimited if you wanted, which would be much more beneficial. I don't remember if you having the basic Sapphire card unlocks transfer partners. I don't remember if it does or not. I mean, if it does, then I guess that could be a reason to have it. But if you're going through transfer partners, then the Sapphire Preferred is probably justifiable at that point. So, I mean, it's a legacy card that, they obviously don't advertise, but you can phone in, like, I want to downgrade this to no annual fee Sapphire card. I just don't think it's worth it when you have the Freedom Flex and Unlimited. It will earn you points versus that card, which doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. So I would definitely leave it alone. All right, Edward here. Finally started my Chase journey and got the Ink Preferred, Ink Cash, Sapphire Preferred. We'll get the Hyatt this year, but stuck between the Marriott Bold or the ING Premier as a keeper card. Both of those play very nicely with Chase points. As far as anniversary night goes, what do you think is a better keeper? I know Marriott gets stingy with redemptions, but don't know much of IHG. Much of IHG. Thanks for all the info. Sure thing. Well, I mean, if you look at them, they're still kind of different cards, right? Because the Marriott Bold is the no annual fee one. There is no reward night with that. People just kind of have it because it'll give you like 15 Elite Night credits, so that can help you get status if you're close. With the Premier card, a little bit different. I know they did refresh these a while back. So, you do get, they always advertise you get a ton of points, which is like a bit much when you break down what the points are worth, but you do get the anniversary night here that you can use. They do have the 3 nights, get the 4th night free. I mean, that's a really good perk for the IHG as well. So the Marriott one, I would probably, if you wanted the certificate for the weekend, then the Boundless is the one. That's a $95 annual fee card, and probably a better comp to the Premier. I think the Marriott business card with Amex is a little bit better. It gives you it's $125 plus you do get gold status with it. You get some decent multipliers as well. It started to look, plus you get a room rate discount of 7%. It started looking a lot better when Marriott ended up, changing their card structure when they introduced those new cards as well. So I think that one could be one to look at as well if you wanted. So overall, I mean, I tend to tell people I think you'll be much happier just picking the hotel status that you love, the hotel chain that you like the best or that you travel to the best, versus trying to figure out what the points are worth and things like that. The value of Marriott is that they're everywhere. I told a story about my old boss who would only stay at Marriott's, right? Marriott's are generally everywhere, and they have a bunch of different tiers. I also don't know a ton about IHG, but people who like IHG really like IHG. So the thing to do, I guess, would be go through and do some fake reservations and just see what the cost in points would be versus in cash, so you can see which one you're getting a better point return on. But I do like IHG's that 4th night free perk, so if you tend to go places for a long time, that could also be a pretty good option as well to take a look at that. I would consider that, but I guess I tend to lean Marriott just based on experience alone and them being everywhere. But the good news is, because you're talking about chase points mostly, you can try both systems out. So if anyone's an IHG faithful, let our guy know. But I guess I'll lean Marriott. But I do like the IHG card after the refresh. So if you're staying a while, could be one to consider. They hate me. Do you plan to open any new cards in 2023? I mean, what cards have I not opened? I've done a Bank of America business card. We had that weird Divvy card we took a look at the other week. The Ink Unlimited, the Sapphire Preferred, the Ink Preferred as well. So I've hit 5 or 6 cards. Oh, the Amex Blue Business Cash. So I've hit a few different cards. So where I'm at right now, I'm probably just waiting to figure out. I'm probably waiting until the Freedom Unlimited runs another promotion, because I changed my Freedom Unlimited to another Freedom Flex. I'm at 424. It just makes mathematical sense to get a Freedom Unlimited again for the bonus. It doesn't really do much for me, but might as well, because then I'll be at 524. Then I can finally move on to my Bank of America cards. I did make Bank of America Platinum Honor, so I want, their 3-card setup. The customized cash, the Susan G. Komen one, and then the unlimited cash one as well. So that's kind of on the radar, but just to play optimal strategy, I might as well wait around and get my last Chase card just to play it legit, because once I'm gone from Chase, I probably won't be back anytime soon. So there's that. I do tend to go after business cards for bonus hunting purposes. So there's a card I'm missing you think I should be looking at. Definitely let me know. But it was definitely a busy first quarter for me in new cards. CJ, someone who apparently does like to go outside, what's the best grocery card for overseas? That's a tough one, because you have to have a card that does a grocery multiplier and one that does no foreign transaction fees. So 2 come to mind potentially. I think you're actually looking at Capital One in the Savor card. I believe that's got 3x on groceries and has, weirdly enough, no foreign transaction fees. You just have to look at what grocery store's code has over there, but that could do it. And then I think U.S. Bank's Altitude Go card is 2% back, 4 on dining, so that could help a little bit. And I believe that is no foreign transaction fees as well. As far as elevated multipliers and no annual fee cards, that would probably do it. I mean, you could always go Capital One Venture X is a no annual fee travel card and get a flat 2% back as well with no foreign transaction fees. But it's tough because Amex does specify U.S. supermarkets for some reason, or U.S. grocery stores for some reason. So those are the 2 that come to mind. It's a tough question though because of the foreign transaction fees. Maybe the Citi Premier. I don't remember the Citi Premier is off the top of my head if it has foreign transaction fees or not. We could probably look that up. But Yes, through the power of video editing, I did look it up, and yes, the Citi Premier, of course, is $95 annual fee, but there are no foreign transaction fees, and it does 3x on supermarkets as well, so that could be an option as well. I would say one of those three will probably do it for you. Safe travels out there. All right, Phoenix here, similar question, looking for a no annual fee and no foreign transaction fee card. So far, I have found Autograph, Capital One Saver One, and Discover It cards. Any advice on a card? Well, I mean, we kind of just covered it. I guess I'd throw the U.S. Bank Altitude Go in there. I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean, we talked about the Premier, but that has a $95 annual fee, so you don't want that. There used to be more. Like SoFi used to have one, and even the PayPal MasterCard used to have one, but I think they both changed and put in their fees as well, which is no good. So I think your list about covers it. If I'm missing anything, again, no annual fee, let us know down below, but I'll just add that Altitude Go to the list, which is not a bad card by any means. And of course, I mean, if you qualify or know someone who does, and you've got the Navy Fed system, which is pretty good for this exact use case, of course, you know, you've got to have the military background or be related to someone who does, but those cards would be good for that purpose as well if you can get them. Red Sox Nation, hey RJ, when are the Dems going to realize the national debt is out of control? We need to do massive amounts of austerity. I mean, I think they went home for vacation for the long weekend, so that tells you, I mean, both sides went home for the long weekend versus figuring out the debt ceiling limit, so that tells you all you need to know about how seriously they're actually taking it, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know about you guys, when I have deadlines at work, you just work. You don't take the long weekend. So I'm not going to say this is a Dems or Republicans thing. This is an everyone issue that is somewhat concerning given how close we are to it and that they all went on vacation. So we'll leave that there. Doc says, what age would you recommend adding your child to credit card as an authorized user? Oh, good old Lando. That's like a really inside joke for anyone who watches both channels. Well, I'll defer to friend of the channel, John from Bank Account Bonus Central, who has children of his own and has told me he's going to add his kids as soon as they're old enough to be added. I think Amex, believe it or not, is the card he has that allows him to be added the oldest at like 14 or 16 or something like that. So I'm going to default to him because he has kids. I don't think there's any harm in doing it as soon as they can. I mean, obviously, when you look at it, when a bank looks at it, they can see, obviously, this is an authorized user account because even sometimes I show my list of cards and people are like, dude, there's a card here that's like 28 years old. I'm 32. But yes, it's like my mom's, one of my mom's Citi cards, right? So they can tell. It's not like a secret, but I don't think there's any harm in doing it as soon as possible. What I don't know is if banks or issuers look at it any differently, saying, oh, you were added yesterday, and it's like instant credit history versus it's been on your profile for a few years. So because a few years won't hurt, I would do it sooner rather than later. But I don't really know how they look at it, if it's just like an instant bam. Now I have credit score history, and I'm like, yeah, but you were added yesterday versus, oh, this has been on here a few years. So parents, you can definitely drop your comments down below. I'm stealing John's answer. He seems like he'd be a decent enough dad, so I'll go with what he says, and it does make sense logically there. So Nathan here. What's up? Says, hey RJ, keep up the amazing content. Thank you, sir. My question, what issuer do you think has the best, worst customer support? How have you seen that change over the years in the game? Personally, I used to have great experience with Amex, but recently I've had much worse experience thinking Discover is the new king. I don't really have any experience with Discover. I've never had a bad experience with Amex as much as I make fun of them. They can do things that other people can't, like through chat support or choose not to do. I think Capital One is pretty awful. I haven't dealt with them myself, but from talking to folks and the fact that they can't get their rules right and their customer reps don't know the rules. How many cards can you have? Can you change this? Can you not change that? I think Capital One's pretty bad. Citi has never been good. I mean, I called Citi because a bank bonus didn't post, and so I called corporate customer service, and they're like, we can't help you. You have to talk to the banker that just opened the account for him. Like, he's in New York. I met him once. He's not, like, technically my banker. They would not help. I called back 3 times. That's unreasonable. But Flagstar did the same thing to me. Their customer service wouldn't help. They said, go to the branch. Chase isn't bad. They pick up the phone very quickly. Their fraud prevention is very annoying, though. They lock your account for any reason, and when they call, if they call, they don't really announce themselves. They kind of just go into it, and you think, like, who is this really? So there's that. Ally was pretty good. So, I still think Amex is pretty good. That's part of the reason why I chose them for the business, my business banking, of the other reason we talked about earlier. So I still think they're pretty good. I haven't had an issue with them. Citi, no. Capital One, no. Chase, borderline. Haven't done anything with Discover. So that would be my answer off of it. Because I've dealt with a lot of banks, but I don't deal with them like a legitimate customer would. I've met a lot of nice bankers at Huntington and places like that, but I don't use their services like a normal customer would. I'm just in and out, give me my bonus and leave. So those are the accounts that I talked about that I've actually had experience using consistently. So there's that. All right, another travel question. Best Hyatt Resorts. I have absolutely no idea. I think I've only been to one resort, and it was a borderline resort. It was in Miami, and like the only reason Hilton called it a resort so they could charge a resort fee, and really you could walk out down the deck, past the pool, open a gate, and you could be on the beach, which was disgusting because I don't like sand. When I was in my younger days, we used to go to cross-country camp on the west side of Michigan and just run up and down sand dunes all day. It's hard. I don't care for sand. Does nothing to do with resorts. I just don't. Because I don't like the beach anyways. I don't know. I could have looked up a review for you, but I think you wanted my opinion. I can tell you I stayed at a Hyatt in Manhattan. It was pretty nice. It was just a hotel. It wasn't a resort. So anyone, shout out down below if you like a specific Hyatt resort, help our guy out. I've never been I'm not even a vacation guy. I'm not anti-vacation. I just don't really like when I go someplace. We've kind of covered it. I just stay in like the worst places because they're cheap. The courtyards or the what have you from Marriott. So I've never done a resort actually. So sorry, man. I can't help you. Jonathan here. What are the odds of a Strata announcement this year? I originally thought they would make an announcement. It'd be in late spring. I kind of thought the same thing, especially with the revamping of the travel portal that they did. I thought it would go hand in hand. They still seem to be pushing the Citi Premier as well. It's still a $75K offer, which I found interesting. I still think we'd see him this year. I still think we'd see them this year, but we're getting close. If we get past July, then I don't think we're going to see them unless they're not travel-focused cards, but I don't see how they wouldn't be travel-focused cards because that's how everyone focuses cards on these days. If they're not travel-focused, then, of course, you still have the fall season, which is holiday season, which is another good time to push cards because people are spending, but I would still assume their travel cards. I would have thought we'd seen them by now, at least heard some leaks about them. So I'd say if we get past July, then we're probably looking at maybe next year. And of course, we have to remember, just trademark filings, and people do file trademarks all the time. But again, we saw the Freedom Rise get filed, and then we talked about that on Sunday, that it's planned for later this year, granted a different card. But, we can see there's at least a few months in between the trademark filing versus go to market. So I'm with you. I agree, but I think the pushing of the Premier is a little bit weird still, and the fact that we would have seen them by now. Because Memorial Day or whatever is like the unofficial start of summer, so I think June, July, and if not them, then it's going to be a little weird if we haven't seen them. So that's just my thought on them. So, all right, here we go. Carby Dude, probably pronounced that wrong. How can the Chase Trifecta work out for someone who lives overseas since the Freedom cards both have foreign transaction fees? It really doesn't is your answer. I would probably look at Capital One because we've kind of talked about it, even though I just bashed Capital One's customer service. But if you went Venture X and Saver One, Saver doesn't have the foreign transaction, which is really weird, but it doesn't. That would be a good one to set up because if you're overseas, you're looking at just using the reserve or the preferred. You could also look at, partnering it with a hotel card or something, or an airline card. If Chase has, you like United or Hyatt or Marriott, they have some of those, don't have foreign transaction fees. So you could come at it from that approach and have a different trifecta, but you'd still be earning United or Hyatt points and then ultimate reward points, which could fuel, that as well. You could transfer them out. You could do that. That might help a little bit, but you're right. It's not really designed for overseas work with those two cards, which are your workhorse cards. Luckily enough, 1.5 and 1%, not that big of a difference, so you're really losing out on like the restaurants and the grocery store stuff, which is annoying because that's one of the reasons why the Sapphire Preferred should be remade to be more like the Citi Premier card. The only reason the Sapphire Preferred wins is because it has the insurances. I mean, it's really easy. It's really cheap way to get primary CDW if you rent cars, whereas Citi doesn't really offer all of that, but their multipliers are better because they don't have the restrictions of the portal. So I would say probably look at Capital One. American Express is fine, but they do restrict to some categories to U.S. only supermarkets or something like that. So not super helpful to you, I would imagine, but Capital One in this case could be a good option provided you like their partners, things like that. All right, 2 more. Shout out from this Leprechaun dude. 2 roosters is just too toxic, but I like exploring the other options. Another bride would be key, but me last won't agree. Could a throuple be the answer to a player 3? There's no limits to how many players you can have in your referral pyramid scheme, so I'll leave it at that, man. Whatever you can pull off, by all means. All right, JB Buffett, last one here. What would it take for you to come over to Team Travel? It's a tough one, man. I think we've covered it a little bit, but I'm not anti-travel. I find airports a fascinating place that you can just get on a plane and be someplace different in a matter of hours. We don't have palm trees here, but you can go down south to Miami or out west, and hey, there's palm trees, and it's warm and it's weird. So I'm pro-travel. The question is always I don't travel in the way required to justify these cards, right? Because when I look at all the points, I look at them like money. It's I can fly in the very back of the plane and it'll be miserable because it sucks, and I can stay at this not awesome hotel, but that could be an extra 3-day trip or something versus one really extravagant one. And so when you're not traveling, you're not using your points to get maximum value. You're not using the reward night credits, to the maximum value, then the cards become worth a lot less, and it's much harder to justify the annual fee. Yes, lounges are nice, and it would be definitely better to have them than not, but realistically, I mean, I'm probably fine without, going to the lounge, I guess you could say, just dealing with being uncomfortable for a little bit. So work travel would honestly be the way to do it because, again, I just don't want to spend my own money. It's kind of I'm a material person. I don't have a lot of things, but, when you buy something like a phone, you're I have that phone for a year until the next phone comes out. When you buy food, for example, I'd rather go to a McDonald's or go eat pizza or something because it's cheaper and I'm going to be hungry in 3 hours anyways, and now I don't have the money or the food, so why spend that much money to begin with? Yes, it's better, but is it that much better? I don't know. So for me, that's kind of it. So I would travel. I probably wouldn't be with cards. I'm much more inclined to go buy Delta gift cards with the 5X category card from the grocery store or something and do it that way versus having these cards. So what it would take be work travel or more realistic, easier to use travel cards that aren't really dependent on outsized value and these coupons and that whole thing. You find me a travel card that doesn't get down like that, then, we could be talking about something. So anyways, that is everyone's questions answered. A lot of travel. Definitely, some of you guys are definitely ready to hit the road for summer, so don't let me hold you up, guys. If you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel because we're posting content just like this every single week. Of course, right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that wasn't credit and finance. And of course, every single day over on ProfitableContent.com. I've answered all your questions, I hope. Thank you so much for writing in. If you need additional details or you just want to tell me how lame I am for not traveling and not liking sand, that is fine too. All of it down below. I'll see you in the comments. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.